Middle East expert Nabila Ramdani met him several times and joins us now. Let's move on to that question in a moment. Let's first of all talk about him because he is sort of infamous, isn't he? You've met him. What was he like?
Yes, indeed. I met him on several occasions, in different locations, in fact, and in his home city of Tripoli, but also in Paris and more recently in London. And it has to be said that right up until, the rebellion started, he was singing a very different tune to his father. He was very intent and indeed serious about democratic transition in his own country, and he did an awful lot of things working around his father's regime to try and change things within Libya. He, for example, convinced his father to give up his weapons of mass destruction. He was very much at the forefront of the détente process with the West. He released political prisoners at home. He kept opening free media organizations in Libya, which his father kept shutting down, and which he relocated in Jordan and then in London. He was very much involved in, the peace process at home, but also internationally. For example, he put forward a roadmap for peace in Kashmir. So he was very much not just groomed by his father to take over, but very much groomed by the West as well, who saw him, they saw him as the next ruler of Libya, to the point that when in 2004 an assassination plot was devised by a group of Qatari Islamists, both the French and indeed the MI6 worked hand in hand to protect him on British soil.
Well, when the possibility of Gaddafi himself being in court, when that was a possibility, of course he was killed before that point came, it was clear what he would be charged with. I mean, it's pretty obvious the link between him and the atrocities and things that happened to his people. Is there the same clear links if we get into the court process in relation to his son?
That is a crucial point that you're raising. Apparently, Saif Gaddafi has lived up to his role as the son of a violent despot, and he's alleged to have ordered atrocities. But it has to be noted that there are no charges against him, and it will be up to a court of law to establish whether this is true. And no evidence has been put forward, and it's very difficult, in fact, to, when you look at the situation objectively, without evidence that hasn't been presented yet, to see this very clear link between, Saif Gaddafi and these alleged atrocities. So it will be a fascinating case in many ways.
And this is a case you think that will only be tried in Libya because, of course, the International Criminal Court would like to try him as well. What do you see happening?
It's very clear that the International Court, would relish to have a high-profile case. After all, they indicted Saif Gaddafi, and I think the ICC prosecutor will try to do his best to get Saif al-Islam extradited to The Hague. But the Libyans would very much like to try him at home. They're accusing him of atrocities committed against the Libyan people, and they would like to see justice done domestically. Now, this raises difficulties, of course, because there is no justice system as such in Libya. They have to start from scratch. And of course, they have the death penalty. And when you listen to NTC officials and indeed highly educated Libyan figures, they are already talking as if the man was guilty. And they're quoted saying he will get what he deserves, i.e. the death penalty. Now, this sounds rather ominous and indeed predetermined.
Nabila, for the moment, thank you very much.